My people, if this one happen, it will be good news, oh, because this kind thing na dey sweet belle, oh, but make we pay attention to wetin dey talk. Dem talk say since grant plenty well well and people wey dey in charge of this thing na different organization, and the one wey you subscribe to e dey different from one another person subscribe to. And now the question be say, who go be the first person wey go start to dey disburse money to their subscribers? We never know. So make you pay attention, make you lis ten very well to wetin dey talk for here. E fit be say na your own go first start to dey distribute money. Make una let us know for the comment section wetin you think after you lis ten to this message. Una bye.
Right, within the grand ecosystem, within our channels, within our borders, our quarters, our neighborhoods, we want to appreciate everyone who have stood the test of time, everyone who stood firm in recognition of the fact that there is fund in the system and money would be disbursed. They were not shaking, they were not tilting, they were not unbelieving. They didn't have to kill anybody just to get at their funds. They were discreet, they were obedient to information, they follow discreetly, and they understand the lyrics. They have the means of believing to see, not to see to believe. It is more blessed to believe to see than to see to believe, just like it's more blessed to be a giver than to be a receiver. You know, so we have all manner of personalities within the grand ecosystem, and I wouldn't blame anybody. I would just have to lay the weight there to understand that whichever side that you pick up, whether you're a believer or you're an unbeliever, or you are a sideline believer, or you are an indifferent person, they all have their consequences and rewards. So I want to appreciate everyone who have stood firmly to understand what goes on within this grand ecosystem, and they have been holding tenaciously to this. You wouldn't see them in one issue, catastrophic calamity issues of uproar or information catastrophe and all that. They are just who they are. They've just stood so firm, and they are consistently firm. I appreciate you so much. And this particular submission this morning is about the succession, because I understand that certain individuals are confused and they don't really know where they belong, when they're going to receive, which classes of receiver they fall into. They know they submitted their credentials quite all right, but then when are they going to receive their funds? Are they receiving first? Are they receiving last? Are they in the middle? Some don't even know whether their names are still there. Some are floated, some don't know where they belong, just so a measure of clarification within the best or the ambit of my knowledge is what I want to profile in this very submission. And then I just want you to grab a cup of coffee and maintain your decorum. I'll just be with you in a moment. Don't touch the dial. So the disbursement of the UAAG grant under Sanctuary Wealth Multipurpose NGO Foundation is going to be carried out in batches. We're not new to that. We already understand that. It's going to be in phases, in subsequent phases, with different dates being assigned for the pioneers, for the grant handlers, than for the beneficiaries. So in other words, let me just classify this into three components. The pioneers, which are the government slots, then the NGOs, which are the likes of the UAAG, the Sanctuary Wealth, the Theobarth, the Supreme, the St. Rita, and the rest of them like that. They are under the NGOs, you understand? Then or possibly you could call them the grant handlers, as the case may be. Then we have the third phase, which is where most people fall, and that is the normal beneficiaries. There's nothing like abnormal beneficiaries, it's just a way to classify them, that if you're one of such who just submitted your credentials without committing any funds to it, you are a normal beneficiaries, comprehensive wise. You understand? And I think majority of expectations falls within this timeline, within this line, this section precisely. Majority falls within here, and that's why most of the noises are within this section. I can relate to that, to be honest with you. A majority of those who committed a huge sum of money, they sit pat and they are watching the game so closely. They don't make too much noise. They don't speak on the capital base. They are just right there watching how it moves, paying careful attention. They are discreet. They just want to know what happens to my funds. Where is it happening right now? What is the state of things at which the movement is? They are there watching those who really invested heavily. But you wouldn't blame nobody, because everybody invested based on their capacities. And once the grassroots invest anything, they want to get a result now and then, because that could be their life meal. They just trusted the process, and they felt somebody told them that they had belief on someone who they trusted, someone who they have been together before then and related. Why don't you just get into this scheme and submit your details, and I'm going to send it across and all that. And they might not have committed something so significant, but it could be something of their life meal, and they're expecting a result so quickly. Some of them don't even have nothing but their names, their bank account, their addresses, and that's what they have right now for expectations. But then you should know that as long as you had promised them, they are bound to bother you. They fall into this category of normal beneficiaries. But then, all right, so having said that, there is a structured approach that is being embellished here to ensure that the process is well coordinated. And the process minimizes bottlenecks, and the process allows for efficient tracking of funds in case people used to say should in case. No, you don't join the two words together. You can either say should or in case. You don't marry them together. So in case there is a loss of fund, or in case there is a loss of posting, so that there can be a tracking, a proper documentation needed to be embellished here, so that funds can be easily tracked according to their processing. All right, so we are going to be breaking them down into this structured approach and phases, so that you know where you belong, and possibly the timeline of when you are supposed to get your funds. And some of them we might not mention date for the record, so that you would not just put your mind there. Those ones you just have to believe on. So those ones where the dates are not mentioned for security classified reasons and purposes, you just have to still be a believer. But then a believer has hope. That is one thing I want you to know, that a believer has hope, and every believer has hope. So your hope is not lost. So even if your date is not mentioned, you are a hopeful believer, not a hopeless one in the first place. All right, so the first line in this category, which I'm going to be unfolding to us, are the pioneer slots, which are the first batch to be disbursed to. We might have been hearing this in other submissions and voice notes, but then I'm trying to make it comprehensive so that you can know where you're falling All right. Every other vital notes, they are also important. You could have listened to them in time past, but then just know where you fall in so that you don't you don't disturb anybody in case someone receive and you don't receive. We faced these complications last year, December, when it was something close to this. All right. So the first group that unfolds here are the pioneers. The government bodies, they are the pioneers. They are the ones that have committed large sum into this scheme. Yeah, their involvement is somehow or somewhat massive. All right, so they are going to be in the first wave of disbursement. So, and the expected date for their disbursement, the payment to pioneers, is scheduled to be around 17, according to information source 17-18. You understand, ahead of other categories, to recognize their foundational contributions or involvement into the scheme. So the processing phase falls them within this front line of fund allocation, so that they will be the first to be disbursed within this month of March. So the month of March is not for everybody. Get it clear. The month of March is not for everybody. In case you are agitated or you're bothered or you are in expectation that the fund is going to be disbursed to you and you are not a pioneer, you're not a grant handler, just wave off your mind. March is not for you. March is not for you. Your disbursement is coming within the year, but certainly not March. So according to information source, we are beginning to hear that according to deadline 17th, 18th, which also synchronizes with the fact that the salary payment for salary workers would have been concluded no matter what they say. By this time, in fact, by that time, possibly some parastatals or government bodies might be preparing to receive another turn of their salary in March. You understand? As from 20-something, 21st, 22nd, some government bodies begin to receive their salary, and some don't receive until the first week of the following month. So by that 17th or 18th, there is nothing called salary backlog, which would never interfere with smooth allocation of funds coming for the pioneers. So that is for the pioneers. Get us straight. Then after this, we have the grant handlers, which are the coordinators. Their disbursement follows suit immediately, right immediately after the pioneers. And you have to understand this. The grant handlers are also what I call them, the field agents. They are responsible for overseeing the distribution process to other organs. The grant handlers, the likes of the UAAG Sanctuary World Multipurpose Foundation, the Theobarth, the St. Rita Foundation. Little wonder that this bulk fund is what all of them are in expectation of. Don't forget about that. We've said it before. Supreme is not expecting any fund rather than what this UAG is expecting, rather than what Theobarth is expecting, and all other grant handlers are expecting. It is this same chunk of bulk fund that they're going to disburse to their subscribers. You understand? So the disbursement of the grant handler is also structured differently due to the nature of their involvement in managing funds and also ensuring that the payment reach the rightful beneficiaries. And I want to believe that the grant handlers would also have an MOU signed as they divulge the money to the bundle heads. All right, possibly I omitted that out. There is a section I classified in the 3 groups before, but between the grant handlers and the normal beneficiaries, we have the bundle heads, which are the CEOs. You understand? So I guess there should be a memorandum of understanding between the grant handlers, the likes of the UAAG, and the bundle heads, because funds in quantum would be allocated to them and from them to the normal beneficiaries. So there has to be a signed pact to ensure that there is no mismanagement of fund between the duo. So the second line of the group of people to be disbursed to are the grant handlers, and the date, I'm going to leave that for the county director. Okay, so he is the one that is going to come out with a broadcast. In other words, a broadcast is needed for the dissemination of that. I don't think there is a broadcast needed for the dissemination to the pioneers, but there would be a broadcast that will precede the dissemination of funds from the grant handlers to the bundle heads or the CEOs, and that is coming from the country director. So we should definitely be in expectation for that. Then we now have the bundle heads, which is going to follow suit after the grant handlers. They are going to also have a deadline, which I can't tell you right now, as we are getting close to that time. Information surrounding the hemisphere will definitely be disseminated to us in due course and according to time. So immediately after the grant handlers, we have the bundle heads, which are going to receive the funds, and then where the majority falls, the normal beneficiaries are going to take that up. They are going to be disbursed to. Now they would also be given a timeline. I beg your pardon. In case you are new to our channel, kindly subscribe. I just had to enter an enclosure where there won't be noise at the background, so please just pardon me for that. So immediately after the grant handlers disbursed to the bundle heads are expected to be given a timeline for them to also disburse their own funds to the teaming beneficiaries, who are the normal beneficiaries where everybody falls. You understand? So they would be the last. These are individuals who apply for the grant and they have met all the eligibility criteria that is set by the UAAG for their own funds to be disbursed to them. Now, what is the reason for this difference in date? What differs? The essence is basically because of the strategic allocation that was meant for each of them. The phased approach would allow for organized fund distribution, and it will ensure that errors are minimized, frauds are not there, mismanagement of funds are also minimized. You understand? So there could be clearances, and the grant funding has to adhere to some of these financial regulations, meaning that disbursement must pass through certain clearance processes before the final release. In other words, let me just put it like, there should be record. This disbursement is record-based. It's going to be a record-based affair, so that we can leverage on where the money is sent to, where the money went to. You understand? So that is the need for batch-wise processing to avoid overloading also. Given the large number of applicants involved here, payments are staggered. They have to be staggered to prevent technical issues or financial congestion in the system. So it's very important. Bottlenecks have to be overridden. Overload has to be overridden. It's very important. All right. So what are the key takeaways from this submission precisely? If you are a pioneer, expect your disbursement first. Then if you are a grant handler, expect to receive your compensation the next after the pioneer slots. Then if you are a bundle head or the cluster heads, expect to receive yours immediately after the grant handlers are being disbursed to. And the final on the list, which is the fourth one, I beg your pardon, is if you're a normal beneficiary, that's the general beneficiary, your payment follows suit immediately after the bundle heads have received their own. All right, so patience is required during these batch-wise rollouts. All right, the exact date for the Pioneer, according to information source, is between 17th and 18th of this month. Salary inclusivity must have been gone or done over with. Then the exact date for the grant handlers disbursing to the bundle heads, being disbursed to or to the bundle heads is going to proceed first with the broadcast from the county director. Then the deadline between the bundle heads to the beneficiaries is not yet known. Just have a faith on it's going to come, so there's nothing to worry about. All right, so but one thing is important is that beneficiaries can rest assured that the grant process is active and is in motion. Everyone would receive their funds in due time, provided they have met all the necessary requirements.